RTO here. Welcome to Friday, and Friday always means a live album ranking to start with. And today we've got a band that we have already featured their studio albums, and it's a great English pub rock band called Dr. Feelgood, who I'm a huge fan. Formed in Canvey Island in 1971 by Wilco Johnson and Lee Brillo, something like that. I never know if he pronounces the X or not. Great band, great albums, very consistent. Of course, the classic lineup is Lee, Wilco, John B. Sparks, and the big figure John Martin. There's obviously there are no original members now, but Phil H. Mitchell's been in the band a little while, so has Steve Walwyn. So they're still going today, and the music's still good, even if that's not the original band. So they've released 8 live albums, so we'll have a look at them. So coming in at number 8 is a live album released in 2003, and it's called Speeding Through Europe, and it was recorded at various shows throughout the European tour between October 2002 and January 2003. The band for this tour is Robert Kane on lead vocals and harmonica, Steve Walwyn on lead guitar and slide, Phil H. Mitchell on the bass, and Kevin Morris, who's been in the band quite a long time, on the drums. So this one opens up with Nadine, which is from Chest Masters. Pretty good song. Rock set, of course, from the classic Down by the Jetty. Chest Masters out track again, Don't Start Me Talking. Then we go to the Malpractice album for Going Back Home. Promo for a brilliant version of Down by the Jetty Blues. Back to the Malpractice album, which I was listening to yesterday, coincidentally, and Back in the Night. And we go to a cover of an Elmore James song, Shake Your Moneymaker. Brilliant stuff. Down at the Doctor's, classic from Private Practice. Give Me One Shot, More Shot from the Chest Masters. Cover of John Lee Hooker's Madman Blues from the same title of the album. And we end up with Bone Moroni and Tequila, 2 classics from there, Down by the Jetty. Robert Kane does a great job as the singer, I think. I think what lets this down, it's recorded in various places, so the sound's a little bit off in places, but it's still a nice listen. So I'm going to give this one an RTO ranking of 7 out of 10. Okay, coming in at number 7. Released in 1981. It's called On the Job, and it's recorded at Manchester University. The lineup on here is Lee, Jippy, John B. Sparks, and the big figure. It doesn't say what year it was recorded, but it's pretty cool. So the first track comes off A Case of the Shades, the brilliant Drives Me Wild. Then we go to the Let It Roll album for Java Blue, which is a pretty good version. Back to A Case of the Shakes for Jumping From Love to Love. These tracks just sound great live. Pretty Face from Let It Roll. Then No More the Yamoko from Case of the Shakes. Then we have quite a few of tracks, because this was the album they were sort of promoting. We've got Love Hound, Best in the World, Who's Winning. All great tracks off that album. The title track, of course. Then we go back to the Let It Roll album for Shotgun Blues, and they end the night with Good Night Vienna, which is a John Lennon number. A really good live one. It just lacks audience. There's a little bit here and there. It's strange. And there's a bit of fading in here. It's a good concert, but a lack of the crowds clapping. So I'm going to give this an RTO ranking of 7.3. Okay, coming in at number 6. This is from 1994. And it's called Down at the Doctor's, and it was recorded on 2 nights in January 1994, on the 24th and 25th at the Dr. Phil Music Bar on Canvey Island. This is Lee, this is Steve Walwyn's on here, Dave Bronze is doing the bass, and Kevin Morris is drumming. So it opens up with a great track from Primo, and it's called If My Baby Quits Me. I do like that track, absolutely brilliant track. Then we have Styrofoam from the Feelgood Factor, and Tourniquet and Wolfman Calling, 3 great tracks off that album. Then we have a cover, Roadrunner, who was done by Junior and the All Stars back in 1965. Back to the Feelgood Factor album for One Step Forward. Then we have a Muddy Waters song. A lot of bands have done this. Little Feat have just done it. It's got My Mojo Working. Then we have the classic Milk and Alcohol from Private Practice and Down at the Doctor's, following brilliant stuff. Freddie's Footsteps, and then Heat to the City from Primo. Great songs. Lee's on fire here. The band sound good. It's not the original, as I say, but I think this is one of them bands. If the music's good enough, whoever plays it will bring it out. So I'm going to give this an RTO ranking of 7.5. So this next one at number 5 was released in 1919. It's just called Live in London, and it was the first Dr. Feelgood album to be recorded with Steve Walwyn after Gordon Russell left. So he'd only played a handful of shows when they recorded this, and this was at the Town and Country Club in June of 1989, and it was filmed for a TV special. So we've got Lee, Steve Walwyn, Phil H. Mitchell is on bass, and Kevin Morris on the drums. Opens up from another good track from the Case of the Shakes, A King for a Day. Great track. Then we have a BB King number, a brilliant version of You Upset Me. Lee sings that really well. As Long as the Price is Right from BC News on here. Madman Blues, the John Lee Hooker number from the same Down by the Jetty album, She Does It Right. Brilliant version of that. Baby Jane from CE News on here. From classic we have While You Wait Behind, Back in the Night for Malpractice. Milk and Alcohol from Private Practice, just brilliant. Then they do a version of See You Later Alligator. Bit of Down at the Doctor's from Private Practice, love that track. And then they do Route 66. Realised that was first recorded by the King Cole Trio in 1946. Malpractice for Going Back Home, and then we have Boney Maroney, which is of course Larry Williams' number, Tequila, which they did great versions on Down by the Jetty. Now this is why I like this live band live. It doesn't matter who's on the playing, it just sounds great. What a way for Steve to get an introduction to the fans. Brilliant. And I will give this one an RTO ranking of 8 out of 10. Now coming in at number 4 is another show recorded in 1990. This is recorded at the Cheltenham Town Hall. So it's the same, it's Lee, Steve, Phil and Kevin. This one though opens up with As Long as the Price is Right from BC New. What a great opener for this set. Back in the Night for Malpractice. A really good version of Rock Set. I think Steve tries and gets that guitar that Wilco got, and it works. Then we have an Otis Rush cover. I love when they do these covers. Bit of Homework, brilliant track and brilliantly done by the band. We have a couple of tracks from Be Seeing You, Baby Jane and She's a Wind Up, which is always a lot of fun. Classic, we've got Quit While You're Ahead, I do like that. Milk and Alcohol, which is just absolutely brilliant. Madman Blues, See You Later Alligator, Down at the Doctor's, Route 66, Going Back Home, Boney Maroney, Tequila and Great Balls of Fire from Jerry Lee. Now out of the 2 recordings from that period, I think this is the better one. Steve's got bedded into the band now. It's a great contribution to this band, and that he plays brilliantly on here. And I'm going to give this an RTO ranking of 8.5. Okay, number 3. This was released in May of 1979, and it's called As It Happens. So the lineup on this one is Lee, Jippy, John B. Sparks and the Big Figure, recorded at the Pavilion, Hemel Hempstead, and the Crocs in Rayleigh in Essex. First track, we'll go to the Private Practice album for a Take a Tip. Then we have a bit of Every Kind of Vice, Down at the Doctor's, 3 great tracks from the Private Practice album. The Be Seeing You, Baby Jane, back to Private Practice for Sugar Shaker, and Things Get Better. So this was the tour that they were promoting, Private Practice. She's a Wind Up from Be Seeing You. We stay with that album for a couple of tracks. 99 and a Half Won't Do, My Buddy Friends, and then we go back to the Private Practice album for a bit of Milk and Alcohol. Then Carl Perkins' Matchbox, As Long as the Price is Right from Private Practice. Night Time, a cracking album, lots of great tracks off the Private Practice album. Love listening to this, so I'm going to give this one an RTO ranking of 8.5. So coming in at number 2, album released in 2013, but it dates back to 1980, and it's recorded at Rockpalast in Berlin. So it's Lee, Jippy, John, and the Big Figure. This one opens again with some Case of the Shakes. We have The Best in the World and Who's Winning. Great little start. Let It Roll, bit of Java Blue for you. Back to the Case of the Shakes for a bit of Jumping from Love to Love. Great little track. Then we have a Solomon Burke cover of Stupidity. One of my favourite tracks off Let It Roll is Riding on the L&N. Brilliant track. Malpractice, great album. Back in the Night, one of my favourite tracks off that album. No Mo Do Yamoko from Case of the Shakes, and Love Hound and Case of the Shakes itself. Back to the Let It Roll for a bit of Shotgun Blues. Brilliant. Classic B.B. King song, of course, You Upset Me Baby. Case of the Shakes again for Drives Me Wild. Milk and Alcohol and Down in the Doctors. She's a Wind Up. And then they do a great cover of Riot in Cell Block number 9, the Robbins number, and the set ends with a brilliant classic Roxette from Down by the Jetty. Great track, very tight band. Jippy was a great replacement for Wilco. It's a great little album, and I'm going to give it an RTO ranking of 8.6. But my number 1 album, and I think everyone will be guessed what this is. It's the very first one that they brought out in September of '76, and it's Stupidity. It's that classic lineup: Lee, Wilco, John, and the Big Figure. The classic lineup, the best lineup, etc., etc. A lot of covers on here, but I don't care. First track is a Chuck Berry number, Talking About You, and they do a brilliant version. Wilco's guitar's brilliant on it. Down by the Jetty for 20 Yards Behind. I just love Wilco's guitar playing, and how he played was brilliant. Another track off the Jetty album, All Through the City. Then we have a bit of Bo Diddley with I'm a Man. Walking the Dog, Rufus Thomas. Great covers of them brilliant tracks. She Does It Right, one of my favourite tracks by the band, Down by the Jetty. Then we have a little bit of from Malpractice, Going Back Home. I Don't Mind, Down by the Jetty. Classic tracks, Back in the Night. Then they do a couple of covers. They do I'm a Hog for Your Baby, which was done by the Coasters, written by Lieber and Stroller. We have a bit of Sonny Boy Williams from Checking Up on My Baby. And then we get the finale is the brilliant Roxette from Down by the Jetty. Great album, lots of covers, but this is the classic lineup of Dr. Feelgood, and it sounds brilliant, even though it was recorded in 1976. So I'm going to give this an RTO ranking of 9 out of 10, because I love playing this album. I've got it on, I had it on CD. I need to get this on album. It's one of my hunts. Okay, that's all for this live album ranking. We'll be back with 2 new album rankings. First up is Gravity Stairs, Crowded House, and then we've got Invincible by a Demon. So join me for that later. Bye for now.